So nobody believed that this was possible. Nobody thought that you could crash Bugatti, buy it back, and nonetheless fix it.
Nobody believed this was possible. Not car experts, not fans, not even people inside the automotive world. The idea that someone could crash a multi-million-dollar hypercar, buy it back after it was declared a total loss, and then attempt to rebuild it outside the manufacturer's control sounded completely unrealistic. Yet, that is exactly what happened. At the center of this unbelievable story is Alex Gonzalez, a young entrepreneur from Miami who found himself in the middle of one of the most controversial rebuild projects ever seen online. This is not just a story about a car. It is a story about risk, control, ownership, and the clash between individuals and powerful companies. The car in question is the Bugatti Chiron Sport, one of only 60 units ever made in the world, with a value that can reach up to $6 million. When this car crashed, most people thought its story was over. But instead of walking away, Alex made a decision that shocked everyone. He bought the wreck back and decided to rebuild it. What makes this even more intense is that he did not follow the traditional route. He did not send it back to the factory. He chose a completely different path, one that would bring him into direct conflict with Bugatti and start a debate that spread across the entire internet. This is where the story truly begins. And as you go deeper into it, you realize it is not as simple as it first looks. To understand why this story matters so much, you first need to understand who Alex Gonzalez is. He was not born into extreme wealth or luxury. His early life was very different from the lifestyle he shows today. Growing up in Miami, his family came from humble beginnings, and like many young people, he had to work hard to build something for himself. As a teenager, he worked regular jobs, including shifts at Dunkin' Donuts, earning minimum wage while trying to figure out his future. But instead of staying in that situation, Alex started learning about Forex trading. He spent hours studying markets, testing strategies, and slowly building his knowledge. Over time, he turned that knowledge into income and eventually into a lifestyle that allowed him to buy things most people can only dream of. His rise was fast, and with that came attention, both positive and negative. Some people admired his success, while others questioned how he achieved it. Despite that, one thing is clear. Alex built a strong online presence and became known as both a trader and a content creator. His lifestyle became part of his brand, and that brand eventually led him to purchase one of the rarest cars in the world, the Bugatti Chiron Sport. Owning such a car is not just about money. It is about status, identity, and personal achievement. That is why, when the car crashed, it was not just a financial loss. It was something much deeper, something personal, and that emotional connection played a big role in what he decided to do next. The crash itself was a turning point that changed everything. Before the major accident, the car had already gained attention for smaller incidents, including a moment where the rear wing was damaged in a viral clip. But nothing compared to what happened next. During a drive in Miami, the Bugatti was involved in a serious front-end collision. The impact was severe. The front of the car was heavily damaged, airbags were deployed, and there were concerns about structural damage to the carbon fiber chassis. Photos of the wreck quickly spread online, and people were shocked to see such an expensive and rare machine in that condition. Soon after, the insurance company evaluated the damage and declared the car a total loss. In most cases, that would be the end of the story. The owner would take the insurance payout and move on. But Alex did something very different. Instead of walking away, he went to a salvage auction platform and bought the car back. He spent around $1.9 million to regain ownership of a car that had been officially labeled as beyond repair. This decision raised many questions. Why would someone spend that much money on a destroyed car? What was the plan? At that moment, very few people understood his thinking. But as time went on, it became clear that this decision was not just about fixing a car. It was about control, determination, and proving something that many believed was impossible. Once the car was back in Alex's possession, the next step seemed obvious: get repaired. Naturally, the first option was to go through Bugatti itself. The company inspected the car and provided an official repair estimate, which came out to around $1.7 million. This number alone shocked people, but what made things more complicated was everything that came with it. The repair would have to be done in France, at Bugatti's facility, under their full control. For Alex, this raised concerns. He worried that once the car was sent there, the cost would increase further and he would lose control over the entire process. Because of that, he declined the offer. That decision led to a major reaction from Bugatti. The company restricted access to parts by effectively blacklisting the vehicle's VIN number. This meant that no authorized dealer could supply parts for the car. For Alex, this was a major obstacle. He owned the car, but he could not officially repair it using standard channels. This situation turned a simple rebuild project into a larger conflict between a private owner and a global manufacturer. It also started a bigger conversation about ownership rights. If you buy something, do you truly own it, or does the manufacturer still control what you can do with it? This question became central to the story and attracted attention far beyond the car community. With limited options available, Alex made a bold decision. Instead of relying on Bugatti, he brought in Mat Armstrong, a well-known YouTuber famous for rebuilding damaged cars. Mat was not a factory technician, but he had built a reputation for taking on difficult projects and completing them successfully. His experience included rebuilding luxury and performance vehicles that many would consider too complex for independent repair. When Mat arrived in Miami and saw the Bugatti for the first time, he immediately understood the scale of the challenge. The damage was worse than expected, and the risks were extremely high. This was not just another rebuild. This was one of the most complex cars ever made. Despite that, Mat agreed to take on the project. For Alex, this decision was not just about finding someone to fix the car. It was about creating something bigger. By bringing in a creator with a large audience, he turned the rebuild into a global story. Millions of people began following every step, watching as the impossible slowly started to take shape. This partnership between Alex and Mat became one of the most talked about collaborations in the automotive world. As the rebuild process began, it quickly became clear that this project would reveal things people had never seen before. When Mat started taking the car apart, he discovered details that surprised even experienced viewers. Some parts, like airbags, were shared with much cheaper cars, which shocked many people who believed hypercars were entirely unique. At the same time, the real challenges became obvious. The gearbox was heavily damaged, and accessing it required splitting the car in half, something Bugatti had claimed could only be done in specialized facilities. Yet, Mat and his team managed to do it inside a regular garage using creative methods. They fabricated parts, repaired damaged sections, and slowly rebuilt the car piece by piece. Every step was documented, and every challenge was shared with the audience. This transparency made the project even more engaging. People were not just watching a rebuild. They were watching a battle between limitations and determination. When the engine finally started again for the first time after the crash, it became a defining moment. It proved that the project was not just a dream. It was real, and it was working. As the story continued, Alex began to speak more openly about his choices. The truth is that his decision was not based on just one reason. It was a combination of emotion, business, and belief. He wanted control over his car. He did not want to depend on Bugatti for every step. At the same time, he understood the power of content. This rebuild was not just a repair project. It was one of the most engaging stories on the internet. Bringing in Mat Armstrong meant bringing millions of viewers. It turned the project into something much bigger than a private rebuild. Some critics argue that this was all done for views, while others see it as a bold statement about ownership and independence. The reality is somewhere in between. Alex took a massive risk, both financially and personally. He accepted the possibility of failure, but he also created something that captured global attention. This is the truth behind the story. It is not just about fixing a car. It is about making a decision that goes against expectations and seeing it through, no matter the outcome. In the end, this story is about more than a Bugatti. It raises questions that affect everyone. What does it mean to own something? Should companies control how products are repaired? Is it right to limit access to parts? These are questions that go beyond cars and into technology, business, and consumer rights. The rebuild of this Bugatti has become a symbol of that debate. On one side, there is a manufacturer focused on safety and control. On the other side, there is the owner focused on freedom and independence. Both sides have valid points, and that is what makes this story so powerful. As the project continues, One thing is certain: the world is watching. Whether you see Alex as brave or reckless, and whether you see Matt as a genius or a risk-taker, this story has already made an impact. It has changed how people think about cars, ownership, and what is truly possible when someone decides not to follow the expected path. Even though the rebuild has made incredible progress, there's one thing that continues to stay in the background of this entire story, and that is risk. Not just financial risk, but real-world physical risk. The Bugatti Chiron Per Sport is not a normal car. It produces around 1,500 horsepower and is designed to reach extreme speeds that most vehicles can never achieve. When a machine like this is built in a factory, it goes through years of testing, engineering checks, and safety validation. Every part is designed to work perfectly under intense pressure. Now compare that to a rebuild happening in a private garage, even if it is done by someone as skilled as Mat Armstrong. The truth is, no matter how talented the team is, they do not have access to the same level of tools, data, or factory testing that Bugatti has. This creates a serious question that many people are quietly asking. When this car is fully rebuilt and driven again, will it be truly safe at high speeds? Or will there always be a level of uncertainty attached to it? Even Matt himself has admitted publicly that the car will not be rebuilt to full factory standards. That honesty is important, but it also highlights the reality of the situation. This is not just a project about fixing damage. It is a project that pushes the limits of what independent repair can achieve. For viewers, it is exciting. For the people involved, it is a responsibility that carries real consequences. That is why the story feels so intense, because success is not just about making the engine start. It is about proving that the car can return to the road without becoming a danger to its owner or others. While a lot of attention is focused on Alex, it is important to understand the pressure on Mat Armstrong. This is easily the biggest and most high-risk project he has ever taken on. In the past, he rebuilt cars like Audi, Lamborghini, and Aston Martin models, which are already difficult. But this Bugatti is on a completely different level. The expectations are massive. Millions of people are watching every move, analyzing every decision, and forming opinions in real time. At the same time, there's public criticism coming from people who believe this rebuild should not be attempted at all. When the CEO of Bugatti speaks publicly about safety concerns, it adds even more pressure. Matt is not just fixing a car. He is working under the eyes of the entire automotive world. Every success becomes a headline, but every mistake could also become one. Despite all of this, he continues to push forward, step by step. What makes this even more impressive is his approach. He does not pretend to know everything. He shows the problems, the failures, and the challenges. This honesty is one of the reasons people trust him. But at the same time, it also exposes the reality of the situation. This is not a perfect process. It is trial and error, problem solving, and sometimes taking risks that others would avoid. That is what makes his role in this story so important. He is not just a mechanic. He is the person trying to turn something impossible into something real, while carrying the expectations of millions of viewers as expected. A story this big has created strong reactions across the internet. People are divided into different groups, each with their own opinions. Some viewers see Alex Gonzalez as bold and fearless. They believe he is standing up against a powerful company and proving that ownership should mean full control. Others see him as reckless, arguing that he is taking unnecessary risks with a machine that could be dangerous if not repaired correctly. The same split exists when it comes to Mat Armstrong. Supporters call him a genius and a problem solver, someone who is pushing the boundaries of what independent mechanics can achieve. Critics, however, question whether this project should even be happening outside a controlled factory environment. Social media platforms are filled with debates, comments, and discussions about every update. Some people focus on the technical side, analyzing the rebuild step by step. Others focus on the bigger picture, asking questions about responsibility and safety. What makes this reaction so interesting is how emotional it has become. This is no longer just about a car. It is about ideas. Freedom versus control, risk versus safety, independence versus expertise. And because of that, every new development in the story adds fuel to the discussion. The internet has turned this rebuild into something much larger than anyone expected. making it one of the most talked about automotive stories in recent years. One of the most important parts of this entire situation is the role of content creation. Both Gonzalez and Mat Armstrong are not just working on a car. They are also creating content for millions of viewers. This changes everything. In today's world, attention is valuable, and stories like this attract massive audiences. The rebuild is not happening in private. It is being filmed, edited, and shared with the world. This creates a situation where entertainment and reality start to mix. On one hand, the project is real, with real money, real risks, and real consequences. On the other hand, it is also a form of content designed to keep viewers engaged. This raises an important question. Are some decisions being influenced by what will make the best video? Or is everything being done purely for the goal of rebuilding the car? The answer is likely a mix of both. Content creation is a business, and big stories bring big views. At the same time, the people involved are genuinely invested in the outcome. This balance between entertainment and reality is what makes the story so unique. It is not just a rebuild project, and it is not just a YouTube series. It is something in between, where real life and online storytelling come together in a way that keeps people watching and talking. Even though the car has been started and major progress has been made, the journey is far from over. Rebuilding a car like the Bugatti Chiron Per Sport is not just about getting the engine to run. There are still many challenges ahead. The bodywork needs to be repaired properly, especially the carbon fiber sections that were damaged in the crash. These are not simple fixes. Carbon fiber is a complex material that requires precision and expertise to repair correctly. Then there are the smaller details, the systems that need to be tested, adjusted, and verified before the car can be considered road ready. Every step takes time, effort, and careful planning. At the same time, the pressure continues to grow. The closer the project gets to completion, the higher the expectations become. People are not just waiting to see if the car can run. They are waiting to see if it can perform like it was designed to. That is the real challenge. Bringing a car back to life is one thing. Bringing it back to its original level of performance is something else entirely. This is where the final phase of the project becomes critical. It will determine whether this rebuild is seen as a complete success or just an impressive attempt as this story continues. One question remains at the center of everything. What does it really mean to own something? Gonzalez bought this car with his own money. He paid for it, insured it, and even bought it back after it was declared a total loss. From a legal point of view, the car is his. But the situation with Bugatti shows that ownership is not always that simple. By restricting access to parts, the company was able to influence what he could and could not do with his own property. This is not just a car issue. Similar debates are happening in other industries, especially in technology. Many devices today are designed in a way that makes them difficult or impossible to repair without the manufacturer's involvement. This raises concerns about consumer rights and long-term ownership. The Bugatti rebuild has become a powerful example of this issue. It shows how control can extend beyond the point of sale, creating a situation where ownership feels limited. At the same time, it also shows what can happen when someone challenges that system. Whether you agree with Alex's decisions or not, his actions have started a conversation that goes far beyond cars. It is a conversation about control.